poor waitress pays for a guy's lunch every day, unaware he's a millionaire and falls in love with her. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's begin the story. Anna worked at a small diner in downtown Chicago, a place that was more about warmth and familiarity than luxury. It was the kind of spot where the coffee was always fresh, the eggs were always perfectly scrambled, and the regulars were treated like family. But Anna, at the age of 27, felt like she was trapped in a cycle of just getting by. Her worn-out uniform, the scuffed shoes, and the constant struggle to make rent weighed on her. She often daydreamed about a life beyond the daily grind, where she didn't have to count every penny or worry about paying her bills on time. One day, as she bustled behind the counter, wiping down the tables and preparing another round of coffee, she noticed him. He was there again. Tom. He had become a regular at the diner, sitting alone in his usual booth by the window. Every single day, he ordered the same thing, a simple cheeseburger with fries and a black coffee. He was quiet, always absorbed in a book or his phone, and never seemed to engage much with anyone. He never left a huge tip, but Anna didn't mind. She had seen many people like him, people who didn't expect much more than the food on their plate. But there was something about Tom. His neatly tailored coat, his perfectly groomed hair, and his calm, unassuming presence had a quiet elegance that made him stand out, even in a place like this. He was different from the usual crowd of hurried businessmen or tourists looking for a quick bite. Anna didn't know what it was about him, but she felt an inexplicable curiosity whenever she served him his meal. She always made sure to be extra polite, smiling a little wider, trying to make him feel more at home. She thought, maybe, just maybe, he was lonely, just like her. One day, when he sat down at his usual booth, Anna approached him with a warm smile and placed his order in front of him. As she walked away, she noticed the small change left on the table, a few crumpled bills. Her eyes lingered on the money, but there was something else in her thoughts. She had barely reached the kitchen when she overheard him on the phone, speaking in low tones, but with a confidence that made her pause. It was a conversation about business, about contracts and mergers, things she didn't understand, but there was a distinct sharpness to his words that made her realize this was no ordinary customer. Tom was more than just a man who came to eat his lunch every day. He was someone important, someone powerful. But she didn't know how important, and she didn't care. To Anna, he was just another lonely man passing through her life, another face in a crowd of countless others who came, ate, and left without a second thought. Little did she know, Tom had been watching her, observing the way she moved around the diner with such grace despite her tough exterior. There was something about her, something he couldn't quite put his finger on, that drew him in. And for the first time in a long while, Tom felt something he hadn't felt in years, an overwhelming urge to get to know someone for real, not for their title, their wealth, or their status, but for who they truly were. This wasn't just about a casual lunch. This was something deeper, something more. But Tom kept his secret close, not yet ready to reveal the truth. For now, he was just another man in a diner, just another face in a place where no one would guess who he truly was. And as for Anna, she had no idea that the man she served every day was about to change her life in ways she never expected. I hope you're ready for the next part of our story. As Anna continued to serve Tom at the diner, she began to notice something strange happening. Every time he sat down, she couldn't shake the feeling that he was more than just an ordinary customer. There was an air of mystery about him that piqued her curiosity. It wasn't just his quiet demeanor or his reserved nature. It was the way he carried himself, like he was someone important, someone who didn't belong in a simple diner like hers. Tom, on the other hand, couldn't help but feel drawn to Anna. There was something about her that he couldn't ignore. The way she moved with grace, the way she made him feel like he was the most important person in the room, even though she didn't know who he truly was. It was in the small things, the way she made eye contact when she spoke, the way she smiled, the way she always made sure his coffee was just the way he liked it. But Tom wasn't ready to reveal his true identity. He wasn't sure if Anna would still see him the same way once she knew who he was. So, he kept his secret, hoping that one day he could build a connection with her without all the complications that came with his wealth. Days turned into weeks, and Tom's routine never changed. He came in every day, sat in the same booth by the window, and ordered his usual cheeseburger and fries with a cup of black coffee. Anna continued to serve him, and though their conversations were brief, there was an unspoken understanding between them. But even though their daily interactions were comforting, there was a growing tension in the air, something neither of them could ignore. Tom began to question whether he was doing the right thing by hiding his true self. Every time Anna looked at him, he felt a mix of guilt and longing. He wanted to be honest with her, to tell her everything, but he feared it might ruin what little connection they had. As for Anna, she began to feel a strange pull toward Tom. She couldn't explain it, but there was something about him that felt familiar, almost like she had known him in another life. She found herself looking forward to his daily visits, even though she told herself it was just because she was used to the routine. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. One afternoon, as Tom finished his lunch, he left his usual tip, but this time, something was different. He didn't just leave a few dollars like he usually did. Instead, he left a generous amount, more than enough to cover his meal and then some. Anna couldn't help but stare at the money as it lay on the table. It wasn't the amount that surprised her, it was the gesture itself. It was almost like he was trying to tell her something, but she wasn't sure what. As she cleared his plate and took the cash, she felt a mix of confusion and curiosity. She had never expected Tom to do something like this. It wasn't the kind of behavior she was used to seeing in the diner. Her mind raced with questions, but she pushed them aside, telling herself it was just another day. But deep down, she couldn't help but wonder if there was more to Tom than met the eye. The next day, Tom sat in his usual spot, but this time, he seemed different. He wasn't reading his book or scrolling through his phone. He was just staring out the window, lost in thought. Anna walked over to his booth, placing his coffee in front of him with a smile. "Everything okay today?" she asked, trying to keep the conversation light. Tom looked up at her, his expression softening. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Just thinking." "About what?" Anna asked, her curiosity getting the best of her. Tom hesitated for a moment before speaking. "About how strange it is," he said slowly, "to live a life where everything is planned out for you, where every decision is made for you. But sometimes, I wonder if I'm missing something. Something real." Anna raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Tom paused, as if choosing his words carefully. "I mean, I've spent so much of my life building this empire, but I'm not sure I've ever really lived. You know," Anna's heart skipped a beat. She didn't know why, but she felt like there was more to Tom's words than just a passing comment. He wasn't just talking about his career, he was talking about his life. And for the first time, Anna felt like she was seeing a different side of him, one that wasn't so guarded. As she looked at him, she saw the vulnerability in his eyes, and for a moment, it made her question everything she thought she knew about him. Could he be someone who truly wanted to connect? Or was he just another man with too much money and too little to hold on to? Tom wasn't sure what made him say those words. Maybe it was the way Anna looked at him, or maybe it was the feeling that he could be honest with her in a way he couldn't be with anyone else. But whatever it was, he knew he couldn't keep pretending forever. He had to make a choice. Either stay hidden in his world of wealth and power, or step into the unknown and risk everything for a chance at something real. As he watched Anna walk away, he realized that no matter how much he tried to protect himself, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was falling for her. But would she ever feel the same way? I hope you're ready for the next chapter in our story. As the days went by, Anna couldn't shake the conversation she had with Tom. His words echoed in her mind, making her question everything. Could it be true? Was he really unhappy with the life he had built for himself? Anna had always seen him as this quiet, reserved man who came in, had his lunch, and left without much fuss. But there was more to him, more than she could ever have imagined. She found herself wondering why someone like him, with so much wealth and success, would be stuck in such a deep sense of dissatisfaction. And why did he seem to open up to her, someone who was just a waitress in a small diner? As the week went on, their interactions continued to grow. Every day, Tom came in and ordered as usual, but now, the conversations had become a little more personal. He started sharing more about his life, about the struggles he faced, and about the loneliness that came with his wealth. Anna, in turn, began to share a bit more of her own story, too. She told him about her childhood, how she had grown up in a small town, and how life had been a constant struggle for her, even now. She was always doing her best to get by, but sometimes it felt like she was just surviving rather than living. She didn't have the luxury of thinking about bigger things, like purpose or meaning. But Tom had a way of making her feel like she could dream, even if just for a moment. He never treated her like she was just the waitress. He listened to her with genuine interest, and that was something Anna hadn't experienced much in her life. As their bond grew stronger, Anna's feelings toward Tom began to shift. She found herself thinking about him when he wasn't around, wondering what he was doing and whether he was thinking about her too. But at the same time, she felt conflicted. She was starting to care for him, but there was still the mystery of who he really was. Would she ever be able to trust him fully if she didn't know the whole truth? One day, as Anna was getting ready to serve Tom his usual meal, she noticed something different. He wasn't sitting in his usual booth by the window. Instead, he was sitting at the counter, watching her as she worked. It was a small gesture, but it made her heart skip a beat. There was something about it that felt like he was trying to bridge the gap between them, to make things feel more personal, more real. She walked over to him, smiling as she placed his coffee in front of him. "Is everything okay?" she asked, a hint of concern in her voice. Tom looked at her for a moment, his eyes softening. "Actually, I've been thinking," he began, his voice quiet but steady. "Maybe it's time for me to stop hiding. I don't want to keep pretending to be someone I'm not, especially around you." Anna's breath caught in her throat. What did he mean? Was he finally going to tell her the truth? "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tom hesitated for a moment before continuing. "I'm not just some regular guy. I'm the owner of the restaurant chain you've heard about. I've been watching you for a while now, and I couldn't help but be drawn to you. You've got this light about you that makes me want to be better, to live a life that's real. But I wasn't sure if I could trust you with the truth. I didn't want you to look at me differently, to see me as just another rich guy. I want you to see me, Anna. Not my wealth, not my status, just me." Anna's heart was racing, her mind struggling to process what he had just said. She had suspected something, but hearing it out loud was a different story. This man, the one she had been serving for weeks, was the owner of a multi-million-dollar business. He was more than just a regular customer. He was someone who could change her life in ways she never imagined. But as she looked at him, she didn't feel anger or resentment. Instead, she felt a strange mix of relief and confusion. "I don't know what to say," Anna replied honestly. "I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel. I mean, you've been so kind, but now I'm not sure what's real and what's just part of the act." Tom reached out, gently touching her hand. "I get it. I do. And I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. But I promise, everything I've said to you, everything we've shared, it's real. I don't want to hide anymore." Anna looked down at their hands, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She wasn't sure what the future held, or where this would go, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone. Maybe this connection with Tom was real, after all. But before she could say anything more, the sound of the diner door opening broke the moment. A group of customers walked in, and Anna reluctantly pulled her hand away, giving Tom a small smile. "I need to get back to work," she said softly. Tom nodded, but there was a knowing look in his eyes. "Take your time. I'll be here." As Anna turned away, she couldn't help but feel the weight of what had just been revealed. The man she had been growing close to was not who she thought he was. And yet, in that moment, it didn't matter. What mattered was that, for the first time, she was being seen for who she really was, too. She wasn't just a waitress. She was someone worthy of being loved, worthy of being seen, even if only by him. I hope you're ready for the continuation of our story. As the days passed, Anna found herself in a whirlwind of emotions. Tom's confession had shaken her, and yet, in some strange way, it had also brought them closer. For the first time, she felt like she was truly seen, not just as the waitress who served him lunch every day, but as a person who mattered. But even as she felt that warmth in her chest, doubts crept in. She couldn't deny that the revelation had left her with more questions than answers. Was Tom really serious about her? Or was he simply trying to fulfill some sort of fantasy? Could she trust him? Could she trust herself? The days that followed were filled with a mix of curiosity and hesitation. Tom still came to the diner every day, but their interactions had changed. There was a new layer to their conversations now, something deeper and more personal. But every time she looked at him, Anna couldn't help but remember the truth he had shared. The truth that he was a millionaire, the owner of a chain of successful restaurants. He was everything she wasn't. Wealthy, powerful, and living a life that seemed out of reach for someone like her. It wasn't that she resented him for it. It was just that she couldn't escape the feeling that there was a divide between them, one that she didn't know how to bridge. But despite her doubts, Anna couldn't stop thinking about him. There was something about the way he looked at her, the way he listened to her, that made her feel like she was the only person in the room. And even though she tried to ignore it, she couldn't help but feel drawn to him. It was as though they shared some unspoken connection, something more than just the surface-level interactions of a customer and a waitress. One afternoon, as she finished wiping down a table, Tom entered the diner, his usual calm demeanor replaced with something else, a slight tension that Anna immediately noticed. He walked over to his usual booth by the window, but this time, he didn't sit right away. Instead, he lingered for a moment, as if unsure of what to do. Anna, noticing his hesitation, walked over to him. "Is everything okay?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Tom looked up at her, his expression soft but serious. "I've been thinking," he said, his voice low. "About us. About everything." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She had been wondering if this moment would ever come. The moment when they would finally address what had been growing between them. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Tom hesitated for a moment before speaking again. "I don't want you to feel like I'm just some rich guy trying to buy your affection," he said, his words coming out carefully. "That's not who I am. And that's not what I want with you. I want something real, something meaningful. I don't want to hide anymore, Anna. I want to be with you, not because of what I have, but because of who you are." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. His words were sincere, and they touched her in a way she hadn't expected. She had always believed that people like Tom didn't exist, people who cared for others not because of what they could offer, but because of who they were at their core. And yet, here he was, proving her wrong. Still, there was a part of her that hesitated. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," she admitted softly. "You're a millionaire, Tom. You live in a world that's so far removed from mine. I'm not sure how I fit into that." Tom reached out, gently taking her hand in his. "I get it," he said, his voice gentle. "And I'm not asking you to change who you are. I just want to be a part of your life. You don't have to be anything other than yourself. I've seen the way you care about others, the way you make this place feel like home. I don't need anything more than that." Anna looked down at their joined hands, feeling a mixture of warmth and uncertainty. She had never imagined her life could take such a turn, that she could be standing here with someone like Tom, someone so different from her in so many ways. And yet, in that moment, it didn't seem to matter. What mattered was the way he made her feel, seen, valued, and cared for. She took a deep breath and met his eyes. "I'm not sure what this means, or where it will go," she said quietly. "But I'm willing to try. For you. For us." Tom smiled, a soft but genuine smile that made Anna's heart race. "That's all I'm asking for," he said. "Just a chance. A chance to show you that I'm not like the rest of them. I don't want to hide behind my wealth or my status. I want you to see me for who I really am." Anna nodded slowly, her mind still racing with everything that had just happened. She wasn't sure what the future held, but one thing was clear. This was the beginning of something new, something neither of them had ever expected. As they sat down together at the booth, the world outside the diner seemed to fade away. For the first time in a long time, Anna felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be, right here, with Tom. The future was uncertain, but for now, she was willing to take the leap. For him. For herself. I hope you're ready for the next part of our story. Things were different now. After their honest conversation, Anna and Tom's relationship had taken a new turn. It was no longer just about the routine of his daily visits to the diner. Now, it felt real, filled with possibility, uncertainty, and hope. Tom had made it clear that he wanted to be with her, not for what she could offer, but for who she was. For the first time in a long time, Anna felt like she wasn't invisible. But even though she had opened up to him, even though she had agreed to give this new connection a chance, doubts lingered in the back of her mind. The world Tom lived in was so far removed from hers. She worked hard to make ends meet, to pay her rent, to make sure there was enough money to buy groceries. Tom, on the other hand, had a fortune, a business empire, and a life that seemed almost too perfect. She wasn't sure how their worlds could ever truly come together. But she couldn't deny the way he made her feel. Every time he looked at her, she saw warmth and care. His actions spoke louder than any words could. Still, she couldn't help but wonder. Was she just another challenge for him to conquer, another piece in the puzzle of his rich, successful life? Or was he genuinely falling for her? That question nagged at her as the days passed. Tom continued to come into the diner every day, but now their conversations had a deeper tone. They talked about their hopes, their dreams, and their fears. For Anna, it was a relief to know that Tom wasn't just a millionaire who didn't understand what it meant to struggle. He had his own battles. He wasn't perfect, and he wasn't pretending to be. For Tom, it was comforting to know that Anna wasn't interested in his wealth. She treated him like any other person, and that was something he had been craving for a long time. He had spent so many years surrounded by people who only saw him for his money, for his status. Anna was different. She saw him, not his bank account. But even as things seemed to be progressing, there was an underlying tension between them. It was clear that Anna was struggling with the reality of their different worlds. She was trying to reconcile the feelings she had for Tom with the uncertainty of what a future with him could look like. It wasn't easy, but she was willing to try. One evening, after her shift, Tom invited her to dinner at a restaurant he owned in the city. It was a luxurious place, the kind of restaurant that Anna would never have been able to afford to visit on her own. The thought of stepping into such a world felt intimidating, but Tom had been so kind to her. He had made it clear that he wanted her to experience the life he lived, but without the expectations that usually came with it. When she arrived, Tom was already waiting for her. He greeted her with a warm smile, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. They were seated at a quiet table near the back, and the moment they began talking, it felt like time slowed down. They shared stories of their childhood, of what they had wanted to be when they grew up. Anna talked about her dream of opening her own little cafe, a place where people could feel at home, where they could relax and enjoy a meal without feeling rushed. Tom listened intently, and for the first time, Anna realized just how much she had in common with him. Yes, their worlds were different, but their dreams and desires weren't that far apart. As the evening went on, Anna started to feel more at ease. She had never been in a place like this before, but Tom made her feel comfortable. She wasn't just a waitress to him. She was someone worth getting to know. After dinner, they took a walk outside, the cool evening air wrapping around them. They stopped in front of a fountain, and Tom turned to face her. "I know this might be a lot," he said, his voice gentle. "And I don't want to rush you. But I want you to know that I'm serious about this. I want to be with you, Anna. I want to see where this goes." Anna looked at him, her heart pounding in her chest. She wasn't sure what to say, but for the first time, she felt like she had a real choice. She could walk away, go back to her life, back to the safety of what she knew. Or she could take a chance, open her heart, and see where this connection could lead. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know how I fit into your world." Tom reached out and took her hand. "You don't have to fit into my world," he said softly. "You don't have to change who you are. I just want to be with you. I want to be with the real you, the woman who's not afraid to dream." Anna's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't realized how much she needed to hear those words until now. Tom wasn't asking her to be someone she wasn't. He just wanted her to be herself. And that, more than anything, made her believe that maybe this could work. She looked up at him, a soft smile spreading across her face. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll give this a chance. I'll give us a chance." Tom's face lit up with relief and happiness, and in that moment, Anna felt like maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something beautiful. It wasn't going to be easy, and there would be challenges ahead. But as they walked hand in hand under the city lights, Anna knew that she was ready to face whatever came next, together. "I hope you're ready for the next part of our journey." After Anna and Tom's conversation under the city lights, something shifted between them. There was a newfound understanding, a shared vulnerability that neither of them had expected. But even as Anna agreed to give this relationship a chance, she couldn't shake the lingering doubts. She had spent so much of her life trying to make ends meet, doing whatever it took to survive. The idea of being with someone who had everything, someone whose world was so different from hers, felt both exciting and terrifying. Could she really fit into his life, or was she just a fleeting part of his grand story? But Tom never pressured her. He was patient, kind, and understanding. always making her feel like her feelings mattered. Every time they spent time together, whether it was a simple walk or a dinner at his restaurant, Anna felt more and more at ease. It was as if the weight of her worries was slowly lifting, replaced by a sense of possibility she had never dared to believe in before. However, life wasn't always as simple as it seemed. The more Anna opened up to Tom, the more she realized how deeply entrenched he was in his world of wealth, power, and high expectations. There were moments when she felt like an outsider, like she didn't belong in the circles he moved in. One night, Tom invited her to one of his charity galas, an event that was extravagant and glamorous. The venue was filled with people dressed in expensive suits and dresses, all laughing and mingling as if they had known each other for years. Anna felt like she had stepped into a different world, one that she wasn't sure she belonged in. As they entered the venue together, Tom noticed her hesitation. He squeezed her hand gently, offering a reassuring smile. "You don't have to worry about fitting in," he said softly. "Just be yourself. That's all I want from you." Anna nodded, trying to calm the butterflies in her stomach. As they walked into the ballroom, Anna was struck by the sheer opulence of it all. The chandeliers glittered overhead. The floor beneath her feet was polished to perfection, and the air smelled faintly of expensive perfume. She couldn't help but feel out of place in her simple, elegant dress. She was used to the quiet comfort of her diner, the small, intimate spaces where everyone knew each other's names. This world was a far cry from that. As the evening went on, Anna tried her best to keep up. She smiled and made small talk with the other guests, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were all judging her. They asked her questions about her job, her life, and her background, and she answered as best as she could, but there was always a subtle undertone of curiosity in their voices. It was as if they were trying to figure out what she was doing here, why she was with Tom. Anna's unease only grew as the night wore on. She noticed the way people looked at her, the way they whispered behind her back. It was like she was a puzzle they were trying to solve, something that didn't quite fit into their perfect, polished world. And even though Tom was by her side, offering her comfort and support, she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong here. She started to withdraw, feeling self-conscious and out of place. Tom, however, noticed the change in her demeanor. He watched her closely, and when he saw how uncomfortable she was, he decided to take her outside for some air. The cool night breeze greeted them as they stepped onto the balcony, and Anna immediately felt a sense of relief. The quietness of the night, away from the noise and chatter of the gala, gave her a moment to breathe. Tom turned to her, his expression soft and concerned. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. Anna shook her head, feeling the tears welling up in her eyes. "I don't fit in here, Tom," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not like these people. I don't belong in this world." Tom's face softened as he reached out to take her hand. "Anna, you don't have to fit into anyone's world but your own," he said firmly. "I'm not asking you to change. I'm not asking you to be someone you're not. I want you to be with me because of who you are, not because of what anyone else thinks." His words hit her like a wave of relief. For the first time that night, Anna felt like she could breathe again. She looked up at him, her heart swelling with emotion. "I just don't want to disappoint you," she said softly. Tom smiled and gently wiped away a tear that had slipped down her cheek. "You could never disappoint me," he replied. "You're not here to impress anyone, Anna. You're here because I want you here. That's all that matters." Anna's chest tightened with a mix of relief and gratitude. She didn't know how she had gotten so lucky to find someone like Tom. Someone who saw her for who she truly was. Someone who didn't expect her to change to fit into a world that wasn't hers. As they stood there together, the city lights twinkling in the distance, Anna realized something important. She didn't have to change who she was for Tom, for anyone. She was enough, just as she was. And that was all that mattered. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder, and for the first time in a long time, Anna felt at peace. Whatever the future held, she knew that with Tom by her side, she could face anything. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. The days following the gala were filled with mixed emotions for Anna. Tom's reassurance had helped her regain some confidence, but the lingering discomfort from the event still followed her. She couldn't help but feel out of place in his world, a world so different from her own. Still, Tom had made it clear that he wanted her by his side, and that meant everything to her. As they spent more time together, Anna couldn't help but notice the subtle differences in their lives. Tom's world was full of luxury and privilege, while hers was a constant struggle to make ends meet. But despite their differences, something about the connection between them felt undeniable. It was a bond that went beyond wealth or status, something deeper and more meaningful. They began to spend more time together outside of the diner, going on walks, sharing dinners, and talking late into the night about their hopes, dreams, and fears. With each passing day, Anna felt herself falling deeper for Tom. He was kind, attentive, and genuinely interested in her thoughts and feelings. She started to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. But despite the growing closeness between them, Anna still had her doubts. The reality of their situation was hard to ignore. Tom had a life full of responsibilities, both personal and professional, and Anna wasn't sure where she fit into it all. She still worked at the diner, struggling to pay rent and keep up with the bills. Meanwhile, Tom was running a successful business empire, attending meetings, making deals, and traveling around the world. He was constantly in the spotlight, surrounded by people who admired him and sought his approval. Anna wasn't sure how she could fit into that world. One evening, as they sat together in a quiet cafe, Anna found herself voicing these concerns. "Tom, I don't know if I can do this," she admitted, her voice filled with uncertainty. "I don't belong in your world. I don't know how to keep up with everything you have going on. I feel like I'm just a small part of your life, something you don't really need." Tom looked at her with a serious expression, his gaze unwavering. "Anna, I want you to understand something," he said softly. "You don't have to keep up with my world. You don't need to be anything other than who you are. I'm not asking you to change, and I'm not expecting you to fit into a life you're not comfortable with. I just want you to be here with me, in this moment, and to know that I care about you. I care about you, not your job or your status." His words hit Anna like a wave of warmth. She had been so focused on the differences between them, on how much she didn't have compared to him, that she had forgotten what really mattered, the connection they shared. "I'm not trying to change you, Anna," he continued, taking her hand in his. "I want you in my life because of who you are. You've shown me that there's more to life than just success and money. You've made me realize that what matters most is the people you care about and the connections you build with them. And that's why I'm here, with you." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. She hadn't expected to hear those words, not in a million years. Tom was opening up to her in a way that no one ever had. He wasn't asking her to change. He was accepting her for who she was. In that moment, everything clicked into place for Anna. She had been so focused on what she didn't have, on how she didn't fit into Tom's world, that she had overlooked the most important thing: love, understanding, and mutual respect. "I'm sorry," Anna whispered, her voice barely audible. "I've been so scared of this. Scared of being hurt, scared of not fitting in, scared that I wasn't enough." Tom smiled softly, his eyes filled with affection. "You are more than enough, Anna. Don't ever doubt that." As they sat there, hand in hand, Anna realized that she had been holding herself back for far too long. She had been so focused on her insecurities, on the idea that she didn't belong, that she hadn't allowed herself to truly embrace the love that was right in front of her. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was where she was meant to be, with the person who truly saw her. The days that followed were filled with moments of joy and discovery. Anna and Tom continued to grow closer, learning more about each other with each passing day. They began to make plans for the future, dreaming of the possibilities that lay ahead. It wasn't going to be easy. There were still challenges ahead, especially when it came to their different worlds. But Anna had come to realize that it wasn't about trying to fit into Tom's life. It was about creating a new life together, one where both of them could be themselves, without compromise. As the sun set over the city, Anna and Tom stood on the balcony of his apartment, looking out at the world below. They didn't need to say anything. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with understanding and love. In that moment, Anna knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together. And that was enough. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. As Anna and Tom continued to navigate the complexities of their relationship, they started to realize that love, while beautiful, also required compromise and understanding. It wasn't always easy, but they were determined to make it work. In the days following their conversation on the balcony, something shifted between them. Anna began to feel more confident in her relationship with Tom. She stopped questioning her place in his life, instead focusing on what they could build together. But even as things between them began to feel more solid, there were still moments of doubt. Tom's world was so different from hers, and though he kept reassuring her that it didn't matter, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that she was holding him back in some way. It was hard for her to accept that someone like him could want someone like her. The weight of her insecurities still lingered, even though she was trying to push them aside. One evening, Tom invited her to a family dinner, a gathering that would include some of his closest relatives and business associates. Anna's nerves were on edge as she prepared for the evening. She didn't want to embarrass herself, to feel out of place in a world so different from the one she knew. She spent hours getting ready, choosing a simple, elegant dress that made her feel both comfortable and confident. But as she stood in front of the mirror, her heart pounded. She had no idea what to expect at this dinner, but she knew it would be important. She wanted to make a good impression on Tom's family. Tom arrived to pick her up, looking effortlessly handsome in his suit. He smiled at her as she stepped out of her apartment. "You look beautiful," he said softly, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. Anna smiled back, but she could feel the butterflies in her stomach. "Thank you," she said, trying to hide the nervousness in her voice. "I just hope I don't mess this up." Tom took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "You'll do great," he said. "Just be yourself. That's all I'm asking for." As they arrived at his family's house, Anna was greeted by a large, elegant home, the kind of place that made her feel even more out of place. Tom's family was warm and welcoming, but Anna couldn't help but feel like she was in the middle of a world she didn't fully understand. The dinner was held in a grand dining room, with a long table set with fine china and sparkling glasses. The conversation flowed easily, with everyone discussing business, politics, and the latest family news. Anna tried her best to keep up, offering polite comments when necessary, but she couldn't help but feel like a fish out of water. She noticed the way people looked at her, the subtle questions in their eyes. It wasn't that anyone was rude, but there was an air of curiosity, as if they were trying to figure out who she was and what she was doing there. Tom's aunt, a sharp-eyed woman with a quick wit, seemed particularly interested in Anna. "So, Anna," she began, her voice friendly but probing. "Tell me, how did you and Tom meet?" Anna took a deep breath, feeling the eyes of the room on her. "I work at a diner," she said, keeping her voice steady. "Tom came in one day for lunch, and we started talking. It was unexpected." Tom smiled at her, proud of how she handled the question. But Anna could see that his aunt wasn't done. "And what do you do at the diner?" "Are you a waitress?" she asked, her tone polite, but with a hint of curiosity. Anna nodded. "Yes, I'm a waitress. I've been working there for a few years now. It's a small place, but it's where I'm comfortable." There was a brief silence as the room processed her answer. Anna felt the weight of the questions in the air. She knew that some people might see her job as insignificant, especially in a room full of successful business people. But Tom wasn't like them. He didn't see her job as something to look down on. In fact, he admired her for the hard work she put in every day. And in that moment, that was enough. As the evening went on, Anna started to feel a little more at ease. She found herself engaging in conversations with Tom's family, laughing at the jokes, and even sharing a few stories of her own. She realized that, while this world was unfamiliar to her, she didn't have to change who she was to fit in. She was there because of Tom, and that was all that mattered. After dinner, Tom took her outside to get some fresh air. As they walked through the beautiful gardens, Anna couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. "That wasn't so bad," she said, glancing up at him. "I was nervous at first, but everyone was really nice." Tom smiled, his arm wrapping around her shoulders. "I'm glad," he said. "I know it's a lot to take in, but I'm proud of you. You handled it better than I expected." Anna laughed softly, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I just kept telling myself that I didn't have to impress anyone. I just had to be me." Tom nodded. "Exactly. That's all I want. For you to be yourself, no matter where we are or who we're with." As they stood there, the night air cool against their skin, Anna realized something important. She didn't have to fit into Tom's world, and she didn't have to become someone she wasn't. All she had to do was be herself, and that was enough. She leaned in, kissing him softly on the cheek. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for believing in me." Tom smiled, his hand brushing against hers. "Always," he replied. "Always. I hope you're ready for the continuation of the story." As Anna and Tom spent more time together, their bond deepened in ways neither of them had expected. The days flowed by, and Anna began to feel more and more like she was a part of Tom's life, and not just an outsider. She had learned to trust him, to believe in the connection they shared, and as she grew more comfortable with their relationship, she also began to feel more at home in his world. Still, there were moments of uncertainty, moments when she wondered if she was truly cut out for the life Tom led. She had worked hard for everything she had, and the idea of living a life of luxury still felt foreign to her. But as Tom continually reassured her, the material things didn't matter. It was the person she was that he cared about. She didn't need to change. She just needed to be herself. One afternoon, Tom invited her to spend the weekend at one of his family's estates. The idea made Anna nervous. The estate was located in the countryside, far from the city, and it was known for its sprawling grounds and luxurious amenities. Anna had heard stories about it, but she had never imagined stepping foot on its grounds. She spent days stressing about what to wear, how to act, and whether she would fit in. But Tom, as always, reassured her. Don't worry about anything. Just come and enjoy the weekend. It's just us. His words were comforting, but still, Anna couldn't shake the nagging feeling that she didn't belong in that world. The day arrived, and they drove out to the estate together. As they passed through the gates, Anna couldn't help but be in awe of the beauty of the place. The grounds were vast, with manicured lawns and tall trees that seemed to stretch for miles. The mansion itself was a grand, old building with stone pillars and large windows that reflected the clear blue sky. It was the kind of place that seemed to belong in a fairy tale. But despite the overwhelming beauty of it all, Anna felt out of place. The moment they stepped inside, she was greeted by a staff of impeccably dressed people who seemed to know exactly what to do and when to do it. There was an air of sophistication that Anna wasn't used to. It was all so different from her simple life. As they settled in, Tom noticed Anna's discomfort. He could see the way she was looking around, her eyes darting nervously from one luxury item to the next. Anna, he said softly, taking her hand. Remember, you don't have to be anyone other than yourself. I want you here, just as you are. His words helped to calm her, but the unease didn't disappear entirely. Later that evening, they sat down for dinner with Tom's family. It was an elegant affair, complete with fine china, silverware, and a 6-course meal that felt like something out of a gourmet restaurant. Anna tried her best to keep up with the conversation, but the topics they discussed, business deals, investments, and political matters, were all things she knew little about. She felt a pang of insecurity, wondering if she would ever be able to truly fit into this world. As the night wore on, Tom's cousin, a sharp and confident woman named Olivia, began to engage Anna in conversation. So, Anna, Olivia began, her eyes curious but kind. Tell me about your life. What's it like working at a diner? Anna smiled nervously, not sure what to say. It's a job, she said simply. It's hard work, but it's honest. I enjoy it. Olivia seemed to study her for a moment before speaking again. It must be so different from what we do, she said, a hint of understanding in her voice. But I respect that. It takes a lot of grit to do what you do. Anna was taken aback by Olivia's response. She had expected judgment, not kindness. It felt like a small victory. As the evening continued, Anna began to relax. She realized that Tom's family, though wealthy, was full of real people. People who cared about each other, who had their own struggles and triumphs, just like anyone else. By the time dessert was served, Anna was laughing and joking with the others, feeling more comfortable in her own skin than she had in a long time. Tom watched her with pride. He had known from the beginning that Anna was special. She had a kind heart, a genuine spirit, and a strength that he admired. He had seen her face challenges in life, and each time, she had risen to meet them. That was why he wanted her in his life, not because of what she lacked or what she had, but because of who she was. As the night drew to a close, Anna and Tom took a walk outside in the cool evening air. The moonlight cast a soft glow over the estate, and Anna couldn't help but feel a sense of peace. The worries that had plagued her earlier seemed to drift away. Thank you for bringing me here, Anna said softly, leaning into Tom's side. I was so nervous at first, but this evening turned out to be nice. Tom smiled, his arm around her shoulders. I'm glad you're enjoying it, he said, kissing the top of her head. I want you to know that no matter where we are, or what we have, you're the one I want by my side. Always. Anna looked up at him, her heart full. For the first time, she felt truly at peace with who she was and where she was headed. She didn't have to be anyone else to fit into Tom's life. She just had to be herself. And for the first time in a long time, she realized that was enough. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. After the peaceful weekend at Tom's family estate, things between Anna and Tom felt more grounded. The initial discomfort Anna had felt in Tom's world began to fade, replaced with a deeper understanding of who they were together. The more time they spent together, the more Anna realized how much they had in common. Despite the differences in their social circles, they shared the same values, the same passions, and the same vision for the future. However, there were still moments when Anna felt out of place. She had always been independent, always worked hard for what she had, and now, as her relationship with Tom grew more serious, she was struggling with the idea of accepting his wealth. She didn't want to feel like she was taking advantage of him, or worse, like she was nothing more than a pretty accessory on his arm. But Tom always reassured her. "You're not here because of what I have," he would say. "I want you for you. I love you because of the person you are, not because of anything else." As much as she appreciated his words, the nagging voice in her head sometimes made her question her worth. But she was determined to push past it. She loved Tom, and she wasn't going to let her insecurities tear that apart. One afternoon, as they were walking through the park near her apartment, Tom stopped and turned to face her. "I've been thinking," he said, his voice serious. "I want to take our relationship to the next level. I want to move in together." Anna's heart skipped a beat. Moving in together was a big step, one that she hadn't expected to come so soon. She had been focused on the little moments, the quiet walks and shared dinners, never really considering what living together might look like. But when she looked at Tom, she saw the sincerity in his eyes. He wasn't asking because it was convenient or because he thought it was expected. He was asking because he wanted to build a future with her. She had to admit, the idea of living together felt right. She wanted to be with him. But there was a part of her that hesitated. "Tom, I don't know," she said, her voice quiet. "I think it's too soon. I don't want to rush things." Tom nodded, his expression understanding. "I get it," he said softly. "But I just want you to know that I'm serious about us. I want to be with you, and I want to make this work. I'm willing to take things at your pace, but I also want you to know that I'm in this for the long haul." Anna felt her heart swell at his words. She had never felt so wanted, so cherished. But the fear that she wasn't good enough for him still lingered. Could she really be the kind of woman who could fit into his life? She still had doubts. But as she looked at him, she realized that those doubts were slowly fading away. "I think I'm ready," she said finally, her voice steady. "I want to be with you too. I want to see where this can go." Tom smiled, his face lighting up with happiness. He reached for her hand and squeezed it gently. "I'm so glad," he said. "I've been waiting for this moment." As they stood there, in the middle of the park, Anna realized that this was it. This was the moment that would change everything. Moving in together would be a new chapter in their relationship, one that would bring new challenges, but also new joys. And for the first time, Anna felt confident in taking that step. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. They spent days packing up Anna's apartment, going through her belongings, deciding what would stay and what would go. It was a process that, though chaotic, brought them closer together. For the first time in a long time, Anna didn't feel alone. She had someone by her side who was genuinely excited about their future together. On the day they moved into their new place, Anna stood in the living room, looking around at the space they had created. It wasn't as grand as Tom's family estate, but it was theirs. It felt real, solid, and full of possibility. Tom stood next to her, his arm around her waist. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice soft with anticipation. Anna smiled, her heart swelling with emotion. "I love it," she said. "This is the start of something amazing." As the days passed, Anna and Tom settled into their new life together. They learned more about each other's habits, quirks, and routines. There were moments of laughter, moments of frustration, but through it all, they stuck together. It wasn't always easy, but they made it work. And as time went on, Anna's fears began to melt away. She realized that Tom truly loved her for who she was, not for the life she had or the job she worked. She didn't need to prove anything to him. All she had to do was be herself. One evening, as they were sitting on the couch, watching a movie together, Tom turned to her with a serious look in his eyes. "Anna," he said, his voice gentle but filled with emotion, "I want you to know something. I'm so grateful for you. You've changed my life in ways I never thought possible, and I want you to be a part of my life forever." Anna looked at him, her heart racing. "What do you mean?" she asked. Tom took her hand in his and looked deep into her eyes. "I want to marry you," he said softly. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, everything else seemed to disappear. Anna's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected this, but in that moment, she knew that this was exactly where she was meant to be. "Yes," she whispered, a smile spreading across her face. "I want to marry you too. I hope you're ready for the next chapter." The days after their engagement were filled with joy, excitement, and a whirlwind of plans. Anna and Tom had been living together for several months now, and things had settled into a comfortable rhythm. They had both learned a lot about each other, from the small quirks to the deeper, more meaningful things that made them who they were. Anna was still adjusting to the life that Tom's world offered, but she had come to realize that it wasn't about the money or the luxury. It was about the love they shared, and that was enough. Tom continued to be everything she had hoped for: supportive, patient, and completely devoted to her. Their relationship had grown stronger each day, and as they made plans for their wedding, Anna found herself feeling more certain about their future together. One evening, as they sat on their balcony watching the sunset, Tom turned to her with a smile. "I can't believe we're actually doing this," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "We're getting married, Anna. It feels like a dream." Anna smiled back, her heart full. "It does, doesn't it?" she replied softly. "But it's real, Tom. It's really happening." As the wedding date approached, the couple became immersed in the preparations. Anna was involved in every detail, choosing the venue, the flowers, the music, and everything in between. Tom, though often busy with work, made sure to be there every step of the way. The excitement of planning their wedding brought them even closer. But as much as Anna was thrilled, there was also an underlying sense of nervousness. She wasn't sure what to expect from this new chapter of their lives. Would it change things between them? Would the pressures of marriage and Tom's world pull them apart? These thoughts lingered in the back of her mind, but she pushed them aside, focusing on the love they shared. She had learned to trust him completely, and that trust was what would carry them through. As the wedding day neared, Tom took Anna aside one evening, away from the chaos of the planning. They stood together in their living room, the soft glow of the lamps casting a warm light on their faces. "I know you're nervous," Tom said, his voice tender, "and I just want to remind you of something. This is not just a wedding for us. This is the start of a life together. A life where we both get to decide what it looks like. We'll make it work, Anna. Together." Anna felt the weight of his words, and for the first time in a while, the nerves that had been building in her faded. She had always known that Tom would be there for her, but hearing him speak so openly about their future together made everything feel real in a way that was reassuring. "I know," she whispered, her voice soft. "I just want everything to be perfect." Tom smiled and pulled her into a gentle embrace. "You don't need to worry about perfection," he said. "What matters is that we're doing this together. That's all I've ever wanted." The wedding day arrived, and Anna couldn't help but feel the excitement bubbling inside her. She had spent the morning surrounded by her closest friends and family, getting ready for the big day. When the time came, she stood at the front of the room, looking at Tom, and felt her heart swell with love. His smile, his eyes, everything about him made her feel safe, cherished, and deeply loved. The ceremony itself was beautiful. The vows they exchanged were heartfelt and sincere, full of promises for a future built on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. As Anna spoke her vows, she could feel the weight of the commitment she was making. She wasn't just marrying Tom, the man she loved. She was also joining his world, embracing the life they would share together. The reception was filled with laughter, dancing, and joy. Anna felt like she was floating on air, completely in tune with the love that surrounded her. She looked around at the faces of the people she cared about, the people who had supported her through every step of her journey, and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Tom was by her side the whole night, his hand on her waist as they moved across the dance floor. Their first dance was slow and intimate, a reflection of the quiet moments they had shared throughout their relationship. Anna had never felt so sure about anything in her life. The doubts that had plagued her in the past seemed so distant now. She had found someone who loved her for who she was, someone who saw her for everything she was, not just for the job she worked or the life she had. but for the person she was at her core. As the evening came to a close, Tom leaned in and whispered in her ear. "I'm so proud of us," he said softly. "We've come so far, Anna." She looked up at him, her heart filled with emotion. "I never could have imagined this, Tom. But I'm so glad it's with you." And with that, they shared a kiss that marked the beginning of their new life together. It wasn't going to be easy, they both knew that. But with love, trust, and the bond they had built, Anna was confident that they could face anything that came their way. Their journey was just beginning, and they were ready to take on the world, together. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. After the wedding, Anna and Tom settled into a new rhythm, both in their personal lives and as a couple. Their home felt more like a sanctuary, a place where they could be themselves without the pressures of the outside world. But as time went on, Anna began to realize that life wasn't always as simple as it seemed. She had married a man with a powerful family, a successful business, and a life that came with a great deal of responsibility. Tom's days were often filled with meetings, business calls, and events that required his presence. For Anna, it was an adjustment. She had grown used to her independent lifestyle, working hard at the diner and relying on herself. Now, she was navigating a world where Tom's schedule was unpredictable, and there were expectations placed on him that she had never fully understood. Yet, despite the challenges, Anna remained supportive. She knew that Tom's work was important to him, and she respected that. But there were days when she felt lonely, unsure of her place in his world. She had always believed that love could solve everything, but now she was learning that sometimes love required a little more patience, understanding, and compromise. One evening, after a long day, Anna sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone, when she felt Tom's presence beside her. He sat down, gently brushing his hand against hers. "I've been thinking," he said, his voice low and serious. Anna looked up at him, meeting his eyes. "About what?" she asked, her voice soft. Tom paused for a moment, collecting his thoughts. "I know things haven't been easy," he began. "I know that my work takes up a lot of time, and I haven't been able to be as present as I'd like. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. You're my priority, Anna. You always will be." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. She had never doubted Tom's love for her, but hearing him say those words meant more than she could express. "I know," she said quietly. "I just sometimes feel like I'm getting lost in everything else. Your world is so big, Tom, and sometimes it's hard to know where I fit into it." Tom took her hand, squeezing it gently. "You fit in right next to me," he said firmly. "You're not just my wife, Anna. You're my partner. I want to build this life with you, not just beside you. But I need you to understand that sometimes we'll have to find a balance. I can't always be there physically, but I promise you, my heart is always with you." Anna nodded, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. She had known that Tom's life came with its challenges, but she also knew that their love was strong enough to overcome anything. Still, she couldn't help but wonder what their future would look like. Would they always be trying to find balance, or would there come a point where things would settle? She wasn't sure, but one thing she knew for certain was that she wasn't alone in this. She had Tom, and together, they could face whatever came their way. The weeks passed, and Anna and Tom continued to navigate the complexities of their relationship. There were still moments of doubt, moments when Anna questioned whether she was truly enough for him, or whether their worlds would always feel so distant. But she also began to see the beauty in the differences they shared. Tom was a man who had built an empire, a man who had responsibilities that stretched far beyond what most people could imagine. And Anna, while not wealthy or powerful, had something just as valuable: her unwavering love for him and her ability to make him feel grounded. One weekend, Tom surprised her with a trip to the coast. They spent the weekend walking along the beach, talking about their dreams for the future, and just enjoying each other's company. The simple pleasure of being together, without distractions, reminded Anna of what truly mattered. It wasn't the lavish lifestyle, the events, or the business dealings. What mattered was the connection they shared, the way they made each other feel. That weekend, Anna realized that love wasn't about being perfect or having everything figured out. It was about being willing to work through the challenges, about making space for each other, even when life felt overwhelming. As they watched the sun set over the ocean, Tom wrapped his arm around Anna, pulling her close. "I don't need anything more than this," he said quietly. Anna smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "Me neither," she whispered. As long as we have each other, that's all I need. In that moment, Anna knew that, no matter what the future held, they would be okay. They would face everything together, and that was all that mattered. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. As Anna and Tom's relationship continued to grow, so did the challenges that came with their different worlds. Anna had always been an independent woman, someone who had worked hard for everything she had. But now, as her life with Tom became more intertwined, she was beginning to realize just how different their lives were. Tom's world was one of luxury, power, and influence, while Anna's world had always been simple and grounded. There were moments when Anna felt like she was constantly adjusting, trying to fit into a life that didn't quite feel like hers. But despite the differences, Tom's love for her never wavered. He had made it clear from the beginning that he wanted her by his side, not for her wealth or status, but for who she was. Even with the constant reminders of their contrasting worlds, Anna felt secure in the love they shared. However, as they continued to navigate their relationship, Anna started to notice subtle shifts in Tom's behavior. He had always been supportive, patient, and understanding, but lately, there were moments when he seemed distracted, distant even. It was as though the pressures of his business and the responsibilities he carried were weighing heavily on him. Anna tried not to let it bother her, but she couldn't help but feel the tension growing between them. One evening, after a long day at work, Anna came home to find Tom pacing the living room, his brow furrowed. She could tell something was on his mind. "Tom," she asked, her voice soft. "What's going on?" Tom stopped pacing and turned to face her, his expression unreadable. "I've been thinking a lot lately," he said, his voice tired. "There's so much going on with the business, and it's becoming more than I can handle. I feel like I'm drowning in responsibilities, and I'm not sure how much longer I can keep it all together." Anna's heart sank. She had seen Tom work tirelessly to build his empire, but she had never seen him like this, vulnerable, unsure. She walked over to him, placing a hand gently on his arm. "You don't have to do it all alone, Tom," she said, her voice filled with concern. "You've been carrying so much on your own, but I'm here for you. Whatever it is, we'll get through it together." Tom looked at her, his eyes filled with gratitude and exhaustion. "I don't want to burden you with all of this," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You already have enough to worry about." Anna shook her head. "I want to help," she said firmly. "You don't have to carry everything by yourself. We're in this together." Tom sighed, his shoulders relaxing slightly. He reached for her hand, holding it tightly. "I know you're right," he said, his voice soft. "But sometimes it feels like there's no way out. There's so much pressure from all sides, and I don't know how much longer I can keep going like this." Anna could see how much this was affecting him, how much he was struggling. She wanted to help, to take some of that burden off of him, but she didn't know how. All she could do was be there for him, offer her support, and remind him that he wasn't alone. "You don't have to do everything perfectly, Tom," she said softly. "No one expects you to. Just take it one day at a time. We'll figure it out, together." Tom looked at her, his expression softening. "I don't deserve you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You've been nothing but amazing through all of this. I don't know what I'd do without you." Anna smiled gently, reaching up to cup his face in her hands. "You don't have to worry about that," she said. "I'm here for you always. Whatever happens, we'll get through it together. You're not alone in this." Tom's eyes filled with emotion as he leaned down to kiss her forehead. "Thank you," he whispered. "I don't know what I would do without you." Over the next few days, Anna and Tom worked together to manage the stresses of life, balancing his business obligations with their personal time. Though the pressure didn't disappear, they learned to face it as a team, and it brought them even closer. As they spent more time together, Anna realized that the strength of their relationship wasn't in their shared wealth or the luxuries they enjoyed. It was in their ability to support each other through life's challenges. Tom's world might have been full of power and influence, but it was the quiet moments, the simple moments, that made her realize what truly mattered. They didn't need grand gestures or endless luxuries. All they needed was each other. One evening, as they sat together on the couch, Tom turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Anna," he said, his voice serious, "I want you to know how much I appreciate you. Not just for everything you've done for me, but for who you are. You've brought so much light into my life, and I don't know what I would do without you." Anna smiled softly, her heart swelling with emotion. "You don't have to worry about that," she said, her voice steady. I'm right here. And I always will be. Tom leaned in to kiss her, his lips soft against hers. As they pulled away, he smiled. I love you, he said simply. Anna smiled back, her heart full. I love you too. It was in these small, quiet moments that Anna realized just how deeply they had grown together. They weren't perfect, but they were perfect for each other. And that, she knew, was all that mattered. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. As Anna and Tom settled into their life together, things seemed to be going smoothly. They had learned to balance their different worlds, making compromises when necessary and cherishing the moments they had together. But life, as always, had a way of throwing curveballs their way. Tom's business continued to grow, and with that came more pressure, more responsibilities, and less time for him to spend with Anna. Despite his best efforts to keep things balanced, there were days when the weight of his obligations became overwhelming. Anna noticed the changes: Tom's distracted look, his long hours at the office, the late-night calls he would take in the middle of their quiet evenings. It wasn't that she didn't understand. She knew how important his work was, and she had always admired his dedication. But as time went on, she couldn't help but feel the distance growing between them. They had always been so close, sharing their hopes, their dreams, and their fears, but now those conversations felt fewer and farther between. One evening, after Tom had spent yet another night in the office, Anna sat on the couch, waiting for him to come home. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was slipping away. She had tried to be patient, understanding, but the loneliness she felt was beginning to eat away at her. When Tom finally walked through the door, she stood up, her heart heavy with the words she needed to say. Tom, she said quietly, her voice steady but filled with concern. We need to talk. Tom looked up, surprised by the tone of her voice. He had been so caught up in his work that he hadn't realized how much time had passed since they had last had a real conversation. What's wrong? He asked, his voice gentle. Is everything okay? Anna hesitated, taking a deep breath before speaking. I don't know, Tom, she said softly. I feel like we're drifting apart. You've been working so much lately, and I don't think we've had a chance to really connect in weeks. I know your job is important, but I feel like I'm losing you. Tom's face softened, and he walked over to her, taking her hands in his. Anna, I'm so sorry, he said, his voice filled with regret. I never meant for you to feel this way. I've been so caught up in everything, and I haven't been there for you like I should have. I've taken you for granted. Anna shook her head, her eyes filled with tears. It's not that you're not doing your best, she said. I just miss you. I miss us. Tom pulled her into a hug, holding her tightly. I miss us too, he whispered. I promise I'll do better. I'll make more time for you, for us. You're my priority, Anna. I don't want you to feel like you're not important to me. Because you are. You always will be. Anna felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she stood there in his arms. She had needed to hear those words more than she had realized. For so long, she had been silently carrying the burden of their growing distance, and hearing Tom admit it was like a breath of fresh air. Thank you, she whispered, her voice shaky. I just don't want to feel like I'm on my own in this. Tom pulled back slightly, looking into her eyes. You're never on your own, Anna. I'm here with you always. I'll find a way to balance everything. I want to be the partner you deserve. They stood there for a long time, just holding each other, both silently processing the weight of what they had shared. It wasn't going to be easy, but Anna knew that their love was worth fighting for. The next day, Tom took a step back from his work to spend the day with Anna. They went for a walk in the park, had lunch at their favorite cafe, and talked about everything and nothing. It was like old times again, and for the first time in a while, Anna felt like they were truly reconnecting. Tom made a conscious effort to be more present, more engaged. He knew that if they were going to make this work, they both needed to invest in their relationship, not just in their individual lives. As the days went by, things slowly began to improve. Tom found a way to delegate more at work, allowing him to spend more quality time with Anna. They started to carve out time for each other, whether it was a quiet evening at home or a spontaneous weekend getaway. It wasn't always easy, but they were both committed to making their relationship a priority. And as the months passed, Anna felt more secure in their love than ever before. She knew that they would face challenges. No relationship was without them. But with Tom by her side, she believed they could handle anything. One evening, as they sat together on the couch, watching a movie, Tom turned to Anna with a smile. I'm glad we talked, he said, his voice full of gratitude. I don't ever want to lose you. Anna smiled back, her heart full of love. I don't want to lose you either, she said softly. We're in this together, remember? Tom nodded, his hand gently resting on hers. Together, he agreed. And in that moment, Anna knew that no matter what challenges life brought their way, they would face them as a team, stronger than ever, with love as their foundation. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. As time passed, Anna and Tom's relationship grew even stronger. They had faced their struggles, but through communication, understanding, and a deep commitment to each other, they had found a way to navigate the complexities of their different worlds. Anna had become more comfortable in Tom's lifestyle, but she had never lost sight of her own identity. She was still the same woman who had worked tirelessly at the diner, and she still valued the simple joys of life. However, as they entered a new phase of their relationship, they both faced new challenges that tested their bond. One afternoon, as Anna was preparing dinner in their kitchen, she heard Tom's voice behind her. I've been thinking, he began, his tone thoughtful. She turned around, wiping her hands on the dish towel. What about? She asked, curious. About the future, Tom said, taking a seat at the kitchen table. I think we've reached a point where we need to have some serious conversations about where we're headed. Anna felt a twinge of unease. She had thought about their future, of course, but hadn't expected Tom to bring it up so directly. What do you mean? She asked. Tom looked at her with his usual sincerity, his eyes filled with both love and concern. We've been through so much already, and I want to make sure we're on the same page. I love you, Anna. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But I think it's time to talk about our long-term goals. We've both changed since we first met, and I want to make sure that we're both moving in the same direction. Anna took a deep breath. She had always been someone who appreciated stability, and while she had embraced the changes in her life since meeting Tom, the thought of change still made her anxious. I know what you mean, she said softly. I've been thinking a lot about the future too. I don't want us to lose what we have, but I'm also scared. I never imagined that my life would be like this. I never imagined being in a relationship like this. It's more than I ever dreamed of, but it's also a lot to adjust to. Tom stood up and walked over to her, taking her hands in his. I know it's been a lot, but I want you to know that I'm here, with you, every step of the way. I've always loved the woman you are, and I always will. We don't have to have everything figured out right now. We just need to keep talking, keep communicating, and work through things together. Anna felt the weight of his words and the sincerity in his touch. I'm just scared, she admitted. I don't want to lose myself in all of this. I don't want to lose who I am, who I was before we met. Tom smiled gently, his thumb brushing over her hand. You won't lose yourself, he said softly. You're still you, and I love you for who you are. We'll make sure that the person you were before still has a place in the person you are now. The tenderness in his voice reassured her. It was a conversation they had needed to have for a while. They had both been so focused on their love for each other that they hadn't fully discussed their individual needs, desires, and fears for the future. As the days went on, they continued to talk about their goals, their ambitions, and how they could support each other in achieving them. It wasn't always easy, but the more they shared, the stronger their connection became. Tom's business had grown even more successful, but he had learned to delegate responsibilities and make time for Anna. Anna, on the other hand, had become more involved in her own passions, seeking opportunities to grow both personally and professionally. She had even started taking on new projects, exploring things she had always dreamed of but never had the chance to pursue. Together, they made time for their individual goals while still nurturing their relationship. They took small steps toward creating the life they wanted, one that would allow them to continue growing together as a couple while respecting their individual needs. One evening, as they sat together in their living room, Anna leaned her head against Tom's shoulder, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a while. We're doing it, aren't we? She said softly. Tom smiled, his arm wrapping around her. We are, he said. We're building something real. Something that's ours. The next day, Tom surprised Anna with a small getaway to the mountains. It was just the two of them, away from the pressures of everyday life. The time alone together allowed them to reconnect, to recharge, and to rediscover the joy they had in each other's company. As they hiked up the mountain trails, Anna realized that while their lives might always be full of challenges, it didn't matter. They had each other, and that was all they needed to face whatever came their way. As they reached the top of the trail, they stood together, overlooking the vast expanse of nature. The beauty of the moment took Anna's breath away. "This is perfect," she said, her voice full of awe. Tom turned to her, a gentle smile on his face. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The future is ours to create, and I'm excited to do it with you." Anna felt a surge of love and gratitude for the man standing beside her. She had come so far, from being the independent woman struggling to make ends meet, to finding a love so deep and genuine. And as she looked ahead, she knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together, hand in hand. I hope you're ready for the next chapter in the story. As the months passed, Anna and Tom continued to grow together, learning more about each other every day. Their relationship, once marked by uncertainty and doubt, had now become a source of strength and stability for both of them. They had found a rhythm that worked, one that balanced their love for each other with their individual goals and ambitions. Despite the pressures that came with Tom's success, Anna never felt neglected. He had made a conscious effort to make time for her, and she had done the same for him. They had both learned that relationships, no matter how strong, required effort and attention. But there were still challenges ahead, and Anna knew that life had a way of testing even the strongest bonds. One evening, as they were sitting in the living room after dinner, Tom brought up something that had been on his mind. "Anna," he began, his voice thoughtful, "there's something I've been meaning to tell you. Something I've been thinking about for a while." Anna looked up from the book she was reading, her curiosity piqued. "What is it?" she asked. Tom paused for a moment, as if gathering his thoughts. "I've been offered a big opportunity," he said, his tone serious. "A chance to expand the business internationally. It's a huge deal, and it could change everything for us. But it would also mean a lot of travel, a lot of time away from home. I'm not sure how to balance it with everything else." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She had seen how hard Tom had worked to build his business, and she knew how much this opportunity meant to him. But the thought of him being away more often made her uneasy. She had grown used to their time together, to the quiet moments they shared, and the idea of losing that scared her. "I don't want you to feel like I'm pulling away," Tom said quickly, as if sensing her concern. "I just need to know what you think. It's a huge decision, and I can't make it without considering how it will affect us." Anna took a deep breath, weighing her words carefully. She knew this was important, and she didn't want to rush to a decision. "Tom," she said softly, "I love you, and I want the best for you. I want you to succeed, and I know how much this means to you. But I also want us to keep what we have. I don't want to lose the connection we've built." Tom nodded, his expression filled with understanding. "I don't want to lose that either," he said. "But I also don't want to be stuck in one place. I want to grow to see the world, and to take our business to new heights. I don't want you to feel like I'm choosing the business over you." Anna felt a mixture of emotions, pride in Tom's ambition, but also fear of the distance that might come between them. "I know," she said quietly. "I just don't want to be left behind." Tom reached for her hand, his grip gentle but firm. "You're not going anywhere, Anna," he said, his voice soft but full of conviction. "You're the most important part of my life. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together. I don't want to do this without you." His words brought her a sense of peace, but the uncertainty lingered. As much as she loved Tom, she also knew that the life they had built together was fragile. She didn't want to lose herself in his success, but she also didn't want to hold him back. The next few days were filled with reflection and conversation. Anna and Tom talked more openly than they ever had about their dreams and their fears. They discussed what this opportunity could mean for their future, and how they could find a way to make it work without sacrificing their relationship. In the end, they both agreed that this was a chance Tom couldn't pass up. They would make it work, just as they always had. They would find a balance between their love and their ambitions. As the weeks went on, Tom began traveling more, and Anna found herself adjusting to the new rhythm of their life. She kept busy with her own work, focusing on the projects she had always wanted to pursue, and Tom made sure to check in with her regularly, no matter where he was. They found ways to stay connected, whether it was through late-night phone calls or quick video chats during his breaks. It wasn't easy, but they were both committed to making it work. And slowly, Anna began to realize that the distance between them didn't have to mean a loss of connection. If anything, it made their time together even more meaningful. One evening, after Tom returned from a long trip abroad, Anna met him at the airport. As soon as she saw him, A wave of relief washed over her. They embraced, holding each other tightly. "I missed you," Tom whispered, his voice full of emotion. "I missed you, too," Anna replied, her voice soft. "I think we're stronger for this, Tom. I think we can handle anything as long as we're together." Tom smiled, kissing her gently. "I agree," he said. "We've been through so much, and we've come out stronger. I love you more than I can say, Anna." Anna smiled back, her heart full of love and hope. "I love you too," she said, resting her head against his chest. "And I always will." As they walked hand in hand through the airport, Anna knew that no matter what the future held, they would always find their way back to each other. Together, they could face anything. I hope you're ready for the next chapter of their journey. After months of navigating the complexities of their relationship and Tom's growing business, Anna and Tom found themselves at another crossroads. Tom's frequent travel and the demands of his expanding business had taken a toll on their time together. Though they were still deeply in love, the physical distance between them had started to create emotional distance, and it was starting to show. It was a quiet evening when Anna finally decided to confront the issue that had been on her mind for weeks. She had been patient, trying to adapt to their new life, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Tom had been gone for almost 2 weeks on a business trip, and Anna hadn't heard from him as often as she would have liked. She knew how important the trip was, but her heart ached for the connection they had lost during that time. She sat on the couch, holding her phone, waiting for Tom to call her when she saw his name pop up on the screen. Her heart skipped a beat. "Hi, Tom," she said, her voice warmer than she felt. "Hey, Anna. How are you?" Tom's voice sounded tired but genuine. "I miss you. How's everything at home?" Anna paused for a moment, trying to find the right words. She knew she had to be honest, but she didn't want to make him feel guilty. "I miss you too," she said softly. I feel like we've drifted apart a bit. You've been so busy, and I've been trying to hold things together here, but I feel like we're losing touch." There was a long pause on the other end of the line, and for a moment, Anna wondered if she had said the wrong thing. Then Tom's voice came through, low and steady. "I'm sorry, Anna. I didn't realize how much I was pulling away. You're right. I've been so focused on work, and I didn't realize how it was affecting you. I never meant for you to feel alone in this." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. She hadn't expected him to be so understanding, but his words helped ease the ache in her heart. "I just want us to be okay," she whispered. "I want to feel like we're in this together, no matter how much time we spend apart." Tom let out a deep sigh. "I hear you, Anna. I'm not doing a good job of balancing everything, and I can't keep doing this. You're more important than all of it, and I don't want to lose you over my own mistakes." Anna felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, but she smiled softly. "I don't want to lose you either, Tom. I love you, and I want to make this work. But we need to talk about how we can make it work. I need you to be here, with me, more than just physically. I need to know we're in this together." There was another pause before Tom spoke again. "I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think I know what we need to do," he said. "I'm going to cut back on some of my travel, start delegating more, and make sure I'm home more often. I don't want to just be a guy who provides for you. I want to be a husband who's present and engaged." Anna felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She had feared that Tom might not be willing to make those changes, but hearing him say it gave her hope. "That sounds like exactly what we need," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I just want to be with you. I don't need fancy dinners or grand gestures. I just want us to be able to talk, laugh, and enjoy the simple things together again." Tom's voice softened. "That's what I want too. I'm sorry it's taken me this long to see it, but I promise I'll do better." Over the next few weeks, Tom made good on his promises. He began to cut back on his travel, taking fewer business trips and spending more time at home with Anna. They started to reconnect in ways they hadn't in months. They went on walks together, spent evenings cooking dinner, and talked about their dreams and fears, just like they used to. It wasn't easy, and there were times when the pressures of work and life threatened to pull them apart again. But this time, they had the tools to handle it. They had learned to communicate better, to express their needs without fear of judgment. Their love for each other had always been strong, but now, it was even deeper. They had grown together, not just in their relationship, but as individuals. As Anna watched Tom make these changes, she felt a renewed sense of hope for their future. She knew there would still be challenges, but she also knew they could face them together. And as they settled into their new routine, she realized something important. It wasn't about having the perfect life, the perfect relationship, or the perfect balance. It was about the effort they put in, the love they gave, and the commitment they shared. And that was enough. One evening, as they sat together on the couch, Anna turned to Tom, her heart full. "Thank you for being here," she said, her voice soft. "Thank you for listening, for changing, for making this work." Tom smiled, his hand resting gently on hers. "Thank you for being patient with me," he said. "You're my everything, Anna. I love you." Anna smiled back, her heart swelling with love. "I love you too," she whispered. And in that moment, she knew that, no matter what the future held, they would always find their way back to each other, stronger than before. I hope you're ready for the next chapter of the journey. Over the next few months, Tom and Anna's life together continued to evolve in ways they hadn't anticipated. Their relationship had been tested by time, distance, and the demands of Tom's growing business, but they had come out stronger, more connected, and more certain of their love for each other. They had found a new rhythm, one that allowed them to nurture their love while pursuing their individual dreams. But life, as it often does, had a way of throwing new challenges their way. Tom's business had expanded even further, bringing new opportunities and even more pressure. Though he had committed to spending more time at home, the nature of his work meant that there were still moments when he had to travel for important meetings or attend high-profile events. Anna had become accustomed to this new pace, but there were still times when she felt the distance between them, especially when Tom was away for extended periods. One evening, after Tom had returned from yet another business trip, Anna sat down with him in their living room. They had spent the past few hours catching up, but there was something she needed to say. "Tom," she began, her voice steady but filled with concern. "I've been thinking." Tom looked up from his phone, sensing the seriousness in her tone. "What's on your mind?" he asked, setting the phone down and giving her his full attention. Anna hesitated for a moment, gathering her thoughts. "I love you, Tom. I always have. But lately, I've been feeling like we're slipping back into old patterns. When you're gone for long periods, it's hard for me to feel like we're still moving forward together. I know you're doing it for us, but I miss you. I miss the time we used to have." Tom's heart sank at the words, though he knew deep down that she was right. He had tried his best to balance his responsibilities, but he could see how his absence affected Anna, and that hurt him. He had never wanted to make her feel alone. "Anna, I hear you," he said, his voice soft but full of emotion. "I never want you to feel that way. I've been so focused on the business and all the opportunities that have come our way, but I've lost sight of what matters most, us. I'm sorry. I know I've been neglecting the time we need to spend together." Anna nodded, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to fall. "I understand how important the business is, Tom. I do. But I just want us to be a priority. I want to be more than a distraction from your responsibilities. I want to feel like we're building something together, not just me waiting for you to come home after a long trip." Tom reached out to take her hand, squeezing it gently. "You are my priority, Anna. You always have been. And I don't want to go another day without making that clear. I've been so wrapped up in everything else that I forgot the most important thing is you. I want to be there for you, not just physically, but emotionally. I want to share in all of it. Our successes, our struggles, everything. We'll figure this out together. I promise." Anna looked at him, her heart still aching but feeling the sincerity in his words. She had always known that Tom loved her deeply, but it was the moments like this, the moments where they could talk openly and honestly, that helped her believe it even more. "I know you love me," she said quietly, "and I love you too. I just need to know that we're in this together. I don't want to feel like I'm just waiting around for you to come back. I want to be an active part of this, every step of the way." Tom nodded, his eyes filled with resolve. "We're in this together, Anna. And from now on, I'm going to make sure you never feel like you're waiting. You're not just my wife, you're my partner. I want to be with you, not just when it's convenient, but all the time. We'll make time for us, no matter what." The promise in his voice was a balm for the worries that had been building up inside Anna. She had been afraid that their busy lives would drive a wedge between them, but hearing Tom's commitment to their future gave her the peace she had been longing for. "Thank you, Tom," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I just needed to hear that." Tom pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her in a tight embrace. "You'll always hear it from me, Anna," he whispered. "I'm so grateful for you. I don't know what I would do without you." Over the next few weeks, Tom made good on his promise. He started delegating more responsibilities to his team, making a conscious effort to be home more often. He planned weekends away just for the two of them, ensuring that they had the time to reconnect and recharge. Anna, in turn, focused on her own projects, finding new ways to grow and develop her passions. She had learned that, while their love was the foundation of their life together, it was important to continue growing as individuals. As well, together, they created a balance that worked for both of them, one that allowed them to nurture their relationship while still pursuing their dreams. They found joy in the little things, cooking dinner together, taking long walks, and talking late into the night about their hopes for the future. As time went on, Anna realized that love wasn't just about grand gestures or making everything perfect. It was about the small moments of connection, the moments where they could truly be themselves, together. And with Tom by her side, Anna knew that they could face whatever the future held, as long as they did it together. I hope you're ready for the next part of the story. After a period of adjustment, things between Anna and Tom seemed to be on the right track. They had found a new balance between their careers, their love for each other, and their personal aspirations. Tom had kept his promise to spend more time at home, and the distance between them that had once threatened their relationship was now something they actively worked to bridge. Their connection had grown stronger, and their conversations became more meaningful, filled with shared dreams for the future. One afternoon, as they sat together on their balcony, enjoying the crisp autumn air, Anna found herself reflecting on the changes they had made and the challenges they had overcome. She turned to Tom, who was lost in thought, gazing at the skyline. "Tom, do you ever think about what comes next?" she asked, her voice soft. Tom glanced at her, his eyes warm but tinged with a hint of contemplation. "All the time," he replied. "We've made so many changes already, and I think about where we'll be in 5, 10 years. I want us to keep building this life together. I want to be happy, successful, and fulfilled, but I also want to make sure we're always there for each other." Anna smiled, her heart swelling with love for him. "I want that too. But sometimes, I wonder if we're really ready for the next step." Tom raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you mean?" Anna hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "I mean, we've made so much progress. But I wonder if we've really explored everything, whether we're still pushing each other to grow, or if we've settled into our comfort zone." Tom took a deep breath, understanding where she was coming from. He had always been driven, and he knew that sometimes they had gotten so caught up in their routine that they hadn't thought about what was next. "You're right," he said. "We've come so far, but I think we can do more. Let's not just settle. Let's push ourselves, both as individuals and as a couple." Anna looked at him, her eyes filled with determination. "What if we take a leap? What if we make a big change? Something that challenges both of us?" Tom thought for a moment, then smiled, sensing the excitement in her voice. "What did you have in mind?" Anna's smile widened. "What if we travel the world for a while? Take a break from everything, just the two of us. See new places, experience new things. We've always talked about doing it, but we never actually did. Maybe now's the time." Tom's eyes lit up, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of excitement about the future. "You know, I think that's a great idea. We've worked so hard, and maybe it's time we stepped back and just lived in the moment. We've been to so many places for business, but we've never truly explored together. Let's do it. Let's take the leap." The idea of traveling the world was exciting, but it also brought a sense of uncertainty. They had built their lives in a certain way, and taking a step away from their routines felt risky. But the more Anna thought about it, the more she realized that it was exactly the kind of change they needed. It wasn't about running away from their responsibilities, but rather about embracing a new chapter in their lives, one where they could be free to explore and rediscover each other in ways they hadn't before. The next few weeks were filled with planning and preparation. They decided to visit places they had always dreamed of: Paris, Tokyo, Cape Town, and more. They made arrangements, packed their bags, and, for the first time in a long time, felt the anticipation of adventure. As they boarded the plane for their first destination, Anna couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and wonder. She looked over at Tom, who was sitting next to her, a wide smile on his face. "Are you ready?" she asked. Tom nodded, his hand finding hers. "I've never been more ready for anything," he said. "This is just the beginning, Anna. We have so much ahead of us." The first stop on their journey was Paris, a city that had always been at the top of their travel list. They spent their days exploring the iconic landmarks, the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, the charming streets of Montmartre, and their nights immersed in the city's vibrant culture, dining at quaint bistros and enjoying the romantic atmosphere. It was everything they had hoped for, but it was also more than that. It was a chance for them to be present in the moment, to savor the simple joys of life without the distractions of work and everyday pressures. As the days passed, Anna and Tom discovered new facets of each other. They laughed over silly mistakes in French, talked about their dreams for the future, and simply enjoyed each other's company in a way they hadn't been able to in a long time. It wasn't just about the places they were visiting. It was about the connection they were nurturing. Paris, with its beauty and magic, had reminded them of why they had fallen in love in the first place. After Paris, they traveled to Tokyo, where they immersed themselves in the city's rich culture and fast-paced energy. They wandered through ancient temples, explored vibrant markets, and enjoyed sushi and ramen at tiny local restaurants. The contrast between Paris and Tokyo was striking, yet it brought them even closer, as they marveled at the differences and similarities in the world around them. Each new destination brought them a deeper understanding of each other and a renewed appreciation for the life they were building. As they traveled, they began to talk more about their future, not just as a couple, but as individuals. They spoke about their goals, their hopes for the future, and the legacy they wanted to leave. They realized that the journey wasn't just about discovering new places. It was about rediscovering themselves and each other, creating memories that would last a lifetime. By the time they reached Cape Town, they were no longer just two people exploring the world. They were two people who had found a deeper connection, one that was built on trust, love, and shared adventure. And as they stood on the beach, watching the sunset together, Anna knew that they had made the right choice. They had taken the leap, and it had brought them closer than ever before. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, with love as their foundation. I hope you're ready for the final chapter. As Anna and Tom continued their journey through life, they had learned so much from their travels and from each other. What started as a leap of faith, a moment of pushing themselves beyond their comfort zones, had turned into something far more beautiful than they had imagined. The world they had explored together had not only deepened their love, but had also shown them the importance of cherishing every moment, every step, and every conversation. Their trip had become more than just an escape. It had become a foundation for their future. The realization that they were building a life that was truly their own, based on love, trust, and shared experiences, was overwhelming in the best way possible. After their travels, they returned home, but the lessons they had learned abroad stayed with them. They had seen the world, but it was their bond, their connection, that had truly shaped them into stronger individuals and partners. Tom's business had continued to grow, but now, more than ever, he made sure that his time with Anna was just as much a priority. Anna had found herself in a place where she was truly pursuing her own dreams, not just as Tom's wife, but as a person who was ready to create her own legacy. The balance they had worked so hard to achieve was finally starting to feel effortless. One evening, as they sat together on the porch of their home, enjoying the soft breeze and the warm glow of the setting sun, Anna turned to Tom, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Tom, do you ever think about how far we've come?" she asked, her voice soft but filled with a sense of wonder. Tom looked at her, a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Every day," he replied, his hand gently brushing hers. "I think about how lucky we are, not just to have the life we've built, but to have each other. Everything we've been through, it's all been worth it." Anna nodded, her heart swelling with love. "I used to wonder if this kind of life was possible," she said, her voice quiet with emotion. "I never imagined that I would find someone like you, someone who truly understands me. I've been through so much on my own, but with you, I feel like I can conquer anything." Tom's eyes softened as he leaned closer, his forehead resting gently against hers. "You've always been strong, Anna. But together, we're even stronger. I know that now more than ever." They sat in comfortable silence, letting the weight of their words settle between them. They had spent years learning how to trust, how to love, and how to grow together. Their journey hadn't always been easy, but it had been real, and it had been theirs. As they watched the sun dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over everything around them. Anna knew that this was only the beginning. They had come so far, but there was still so much more ahead. They had each other, and that was all that mattered. The future was a wide open space, full of possibility, and they were ready to face it together. Their love had been tested, but it had only grown stronger. It had been built on a foundation of mutual respect, shared experiences, and a deep understanding that life would never be perfect, but that they would always be there for each other, no matter what. And as they sat together, looking out at the world they had built, Anna realized something important. She had found her partner, not just someone to stand by her side, but someone who challenged her, supported her, and loved her unconditionally. They weren't just living a life together. They were building something that would last, something that would continue to grow and evolve, just as they had. In that moment, Anna knew with certainty that no matter where their journey took them next, they would face it hand in hand. There would be ups and downs, challenges and triumphs, but as long as they had each other, they could face anything. And that was the most beautiful part of their story. They had found the kind of love that lasts, not because it was easy, but because it was real. And in the end, that was enough. I hope you're ready to dive into an unforgettable journey through one of the most captivating millionaire stories. This incredible tale takes you on an emotional roller coaster as a waitress unknowingly helps a millionaire by paying for his lunch every day, unaware of his true identity. As the story unfolds, we see how their lives intertwine, building a bond stronger than either could have expected. The journey explores the complexities of their relationship as they navigate the divide between their worlds, from the challenges of balancing wealth and love to the personal growth they experience together. This millionaire story doesn't just focus on riches, but the deeper connection two people share when faced with life's biggest questions. Their love story becomes more than just a fairy tale as they learn how to make it work, proving that even in the midst of millionaire success, the most valuable thing in life is the love and partnership that is built along the way. These millionaire stories offer much more than just a look into a wealthy world. They showcase the real human connections that develop when you least expect it. As the story reaches its peak, the characters face crucial moments that will change their lives forever, reminding us that true wealth comes from the relationships and memories we build, not just material things. This millionaire story truly captivates its audience, showing the power of love and determination, teaching valuable lessons about finding balance, embracing change, and building something meaningful together.